started, did you have any questions about anything that just came up in between our last session?
Uh, the one, like the two main things that I think I had trouble with were like when to go in
Mm-hmm.
and then just positioning. And like, there's a lot of times where I don't know like when I'm supposed to, what, like, what trigger is there? It's like, okay, now I go in. Like,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely gonna be a lot of different times. Like you can't just sit around and not do anything. So a lot of times, just you're going in, and it's not about a lot of times it's not about when you're going in, but more so about how you're going in. Now it can definitely be when you're going in is can be a big thing, especially like you don't want to go in like if you don't have any team support or whatnot, or like if you know you're just gonna get bullied or they're ulting or something like of that sort. But then a lot of the times you need to be able to go in the same way like on a Reinhardt, like how you need to go in to brawl and be within your range, and it's more so about how do I get in and how do I approach this rather than just when am I supposed to be going in. So we'll see that as we go along here. If I end up going past an area and you're just like I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do there, just feel free to comment if I don't say anything on it.
okay.
And then yep, I'll just be a minute or
Red
so while I'm
1.
looking for something to talk about.
Attackers incoming.
I think we roll this team pretty hard, so I don't know if this is,
Oh, the
you'll
best
probably
game?
find.
Okay. Do you have another game then?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I thought this was a different one. Try
okay.
the second one here.
Now
Yeah, there we
arriving
go.
Lijiang Tower.
All
Ready
right.
for battle.
Mobility increased.
All right. So we're on a dive.
Flight routine activated.
Okay.
Double.
Nice first fight. Not much we did wrong there. Good engagements.
Changing position.
Okay, so this is where I think repositioning would come into play, and it would probably be a good idea if we just reposition to somewhere like up here on the high ground.
Yep.
So this would mean that just for example, we can very easily get in and do some easy damage just to start off. Do some soft poking because what we can do from here is right as they're walking through choke is we can just drop from the high ground, Tesla them a little bit, and then we can drop bubble if we want to drop, and then as soon as we feel like we're pressured or whatever, we can just leap out, right? We can just get back to safety very easily by just leaping over the wall here, and then we're completely safe. We'll get our cooldowns back and we have team support, right? Very safe, very easy. Now alternatively, like if we look at any other engagement, how would we do that same thing any other way, right? Well, we can come from the front line. Well, now we're just going to get shot at a lot more. We don't have a surprise advantage. We're not going to be able to, they're going to have some time where they can shoot at us for free while we're walking towards them. We might be even out of range from here if we're like, we might not even be able to get to people. And there's definitely going to be less people that we can hit. It's probably just going to be the tanks, right?
Hmm.
So this probably wouldn't be very efficient. We could maybe just already pre-start here on the left, but again, this loses us a little bit of our surprise advantage, and it means that they have more time to shoot at us, and we might be pressured out faster. Same thing over here. Yes, we might be able to do the same exact thing, except for we'll just be pressured out sooner rather than later. So ultimately, it's just setting up here on the high ground probably be just the best place to set up for the moment. Get in some poke damage just to get us ult charge and possibly mean that during this fight we'll have our ultimate. So we just want to be charging that up as fast as possible, and then it would just do some extra damage and create some space for our team while they're walking through. Whereas here we don't really do that. We just kind of back up the point, and then now we're just approaching from the front angle where it's very easy for them to shoot at us and do damage. So it's just a situation where repositioning probably would have been a good idea. So let's see, how are we approaching this? So here we're just
Tried
backing
to
up.
like,
Good.
yeah, no, well, like on our last lesson, I tried not to shoot at the tanks too much, so I've been
Yeah.
diving behind them a lot more.
Hmm.
And it's worked out pretty good. But a lot of the times where I find like even if I jump like all the way behind them,
Mhm.
it's like all 6 of them just turn around and just nuke me. But
Exactly. And then that's where you get into the differences between hard diving and soft diving, and you want to make sure that it's like the how do I that gets back to how do I engage. And
yeah,
yes, you want to be going on their back line, but it's also you want to be careful when you're going on their back line, and you only want to be going in like really, really hard onto their back line if you have the opportunity to do so. Whereas if we're getting blown up for diving into the back line, that means that we probably shouldn't have gone for a hard dive into their back line, right? We probably should have been more
yeah,
careful, maybe going jumping to a high ground or just running into them or dropping instead of just leaping straight into them. So we'll look at that as situations arise. Like that, and we'll try to take a look at it here. Big thing is that we just kind of let them walk and take space for a long while, which probably would say just look at some of the compositions here. Do. All right. So I would probably say that doesn't work too well for what we're trying to accomplish, particularly because like their composition just has more spam elements to it than ours does. Our composition is more of a dive, and their composition is more of a spam. You're familiar with the team comps, yeah, in the game?
yeah.
So
Hmm.
that means that their composition is going to benefit the longer this fight drags out, and they want us, their Zarya wants time to get up bubble energy, and their Pharah and Mercy and McCree want time to spam and shoot at people, whereas our Tracer and Diva, particularly, and our Lucio, want to be getting in fast and doing stuff, and even ourselves, we're not a spam character at all. We want to be going in and doing things, whereas here we just kind of been kiting back, and for a large portion of time, we just kind of walked back to point instead of ever engaging. Whereas just alternatively, just different things we could have been doing is just poking them on the front lines and then maybe leaping back when we needed to. So like alternatively, again, instead of being all the way back here, maybe we could play on this corner over here where we can just shoot at them from the front and then leap back if needed, right? Something of that sort where we're creating that this just means that we're putting more pressure on them and then therefore creating more space for our team to work with, right? And then ultimately that's what that's what your job as the tank is you are the one creating space, right? You're the one creating space. We are not creating space if we sit back and don't do anything, right? That's not how space is created. We create space by going in and doing things and being a distraction and getting into the back line, right? We create the how Monkey creates space is kind of the same way that like a ball creates space, and that is disruption. You are going in, you're being a distraction, you're booping them around, you're putting your bubble in between them, and then this is how you create space as Monkey. You draw their attention, and then that gives your space to your teammates. Now, if we're not doing anything, we're just sitting around, that means that we're not really doing our job as the tank in this fight. And then here we kind of just chill around, and then we're just poking. Whereas here, just engaging sooner rather than later probably would have been a better idea. Okay, now backing up there is a good idea. Okay, good eye on the Ana there. So here we lost the Mercy. Let's see. So we're on the Mercy. Mercy is like
I completely lost where she went.
yeah. So just
I'm so not used to her being. Is that like a exploit or something?
super
Like
jump.
when she just launches in the air?
Yeah.
When
Super jump is as a like probably you could classify as a bug, but it
like
at
what
the same
Doomfist does, right? With his when he punches, you can press space at the right time and he'll get like
yeah,
yeah.
well, kind of, yeah. It like has an extra step in there besides Doomfist, but it's kind of the same concept. And same thing with Doomfist is like you could probably classify it as a bug, but it's a bug that they've kept in the game for like 2 years now, and it's pretty much just a part of the game at the moment. So to be honest, it is pretty much just an extra ability for her. So yeah, it's just you have to get used to super jumps and just knowing that she can go up in the air, so we have to be ready for that to happen. And here we just lose sight of her, and we just want to make sure we're keeping up our awareness, because that could be if we're paying attention to where she's going, that could be an easy kill we can follow up on, especially if we're getting our jump back in 2 seconds, or we could even primal together or something of that sort instead of swapping to the Monkey, right? Though I do like that we swap immediately off of the Monkey to the Zarya who's low, so target priority is looking really good at the moment. Very nice. Alright, so these past couple of fights have been very solid.
Oh, she just kills herself.
All right, so same thing here. It's the exact same setup. Just try to start off a little bit close so we can get some, get some early space for our team. Like even if we have our ultimate, like since we have our ultimate, it's slightly less valuable, but we still want that early space for our team to create some pressure on them.
I just back. I think I jumped. Did I jump
Yeah,
right here?
jump over the wall. Is that what we're doing?
But see, I'm blind. Like I don't know what I'm jumping into.
Yeah.
But
So alternatively, again, just probably would just find a lot more value out of just sitting up here and just dropping on them, or if we're trying to hard engage because we have our ultimate, we could even just leap on them from here as an option we can go for. It's just here again, like you said, we can't see them from back there. We don't know what the heck's going on, so we're leaping in blind, and we're just notice again how we're giving them a ton of time and space to work with. Right, we just let them walk through the choke. That's another aspect, another part of this is that, right here you have a choke to work with, and, this little condensed area. And then once they get out in this wide open area, that's where their spam comp's going to shine. And that's also where they just get, where they've left the bad positioning into the good positioning. And we want to keep them in that bad positioning where they're all kind of grouped up in this tiny little clump over here, and we just kind of let them walk through that very easily. So just holding the space would be a very, very smart idea for these past couple of fights. Because then notice again, we kind of have like 5 seconds, 6 seconds where we're just kind of letting them walk in. Okay, nice juggling. Trying to think. Maybe not a super necessary bubble, but at the same time, you're also winning the fight. I mean, it's not. It didn't. I don't think it harmed you or hurt you there. Or sorry, I didn't mean to say harmed or hurt you. I meant to say I don't think it harmed you or benefited you there.
yeah,
I don't think it
gotcha.
did. I don't think it really did either. All right. So this first round is honestly looking like pretty much of a roll, like you guys, unless they pull it back at the last second here.
I think the second round of this was a
Yeah.
little closer.
Nice dive, good spotting that. The awareness is looking pretty high there, right? We noticed that he was up there and we dove in. This is what we want to be looking for, because notice how we can immediately just drop on top of their back line, right? Keep them at the choke, straight on top of these guys in the back here, and then this, isolates them, creates extra space for your team, gets us a pick, I imagine. Yep, one pick there. So just really, that was much better play just because we were coming from that angle. All right. Nice target priority swapping again. I like how we look at the monkey and then we're like nah, and we look away, right? So that's really good target priority that's happening so far, and I've seen that happen a couple of times. Overall, really solid round, and we'll hopefully get to somewhere where it's a little bit more challenging, so we can see some more mistakes coming through. Because I imagine not every game's gonna be like this, right?
No, no, very rarely it is. Yeah.
All right, so here, this is a situation where you get into what we were talking about at the very beginning before we started the recording, where I was saying, okay, this map at the moment is not a good monkey map. In fact, this is probably like monkey is one of the like worst characters you could run on this particular map on Lijiang. But at the same time, if you play it correctly, it can work. So that you are at an inherent disadvantage. Reinhardt is just the better character in comparison to Monkey here, though you definitely can overcome that if you play Monkey correctly here and you just learn how to play him in this instance. So this is just one of those situations where if you felt like it, you could just swap to a easier character, better character for the map, such as Reinhardt. But if you want to stick with Monkey, you would just have to overcome that handicap, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I just kind of don't know what to do here. I think I end up
Yeah, so
jumping there, but
last time we talked about the difference between like hard dives and soft dives. Yeah, dude, we talked about that a little bit or no?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so here right now we're looking for a soft dive, right? Because we talked about hard dives, like we go in and hard dive when we have a full dive with us, right? Here we do have a full dive, but I imagine because it's also ranked, and I imagine we're not gonna be like super coordinated. A full team dive isn't gonna be happening too often here, so that one's a little bit off the table. We can also go in if someone's like, low HP, and we can hard dive a little bit more. Like if we have an opportunity or someone's out of position, then we can hard dive. Or if we just see another opportunity, we can also hard dive if we have our ultimate. But at the moment, none of those are the case, and therefore we should probably just be soft diving here. Now, if we're coming in from this angle, where would you say, like, how can we get in to do some damage, create some space while also staying safe here?
If I think what I do is I jump like the stairs, but I should have jumped, or maybe I do jump behind them. I don't know, but I should have jumped. If I did jump the stairs, I should have went where the mercy is, like behind them.
Mm.
But I don't think that's what I do.
I think going all the way behind them, that could be okay. I think that would just basically the only thing that I would do is they just have more time to shoot at you, because you're not going to be able, like, if you leap over here, right, you're going to leap over here and then you have to walk all the way around to get to them. I think honestly, I think it could go either way, but the other alternative is just to leap to the stairs and play around, like, but play around this drop off, because we drop bubble and we play around this corner and use this cover over here where they can't see us. And I almost guarantee that unless they like very hard jump on top of us to punish us, we'll be able to make it out. But I just say we wait slightly too long here, because we just again are kind of just chilling and chilling and chilling. And then now notice, by the time we're jumping in, first off, when we're jumping in, we're not leaping to the stairs, we're leaping into them. We're leaping straight into their team. So instead of landing on the edge here and then kiting around the corner and down when we need cover, right? We're just leaping straight into their team in the middle of all of them. And then also we've waited so long that we've wasted times, given up space. And then now they're not all in this corridor over here where we can very easily just shoot at them. They're now walking out onto the stairs, which also makes it easier for them to punish you. Even if we were on the stairs, Reinhardt can just run at us and swing. So overall, just too late. A lot of these times I'm noticing we're engaging too late. We're going in too late in these fights, and that gives them extra time to work with. And then on top of that, and like, they do some extra damage to start off the fight. And then on top of that, we just aren't engaging properly here, where we're going for a hard. This resembles more of a hard dive rather than a soft dive, right? Because we're going really hard into their back line, diving straight into the middle of their entire team, but we don't have any advantage to go off of at the moment, and then therefore this is probably a mistake, and we could pretty easily die here if they punish us fast enough for it. Make sure that let's look at this again. So,
This will protect
here,
us.
yeah, we're going on the soldier. Um, probably
I didn't
swap.
see the Anna.
I probably
Yeah.
swap to the Ana. And that's just awareness of, because we can hear her shooting. We probably saw her, like, from here we can see her, like, around the corner, and we can hear her, and we see her on the left here as we're leaping in. So we just, awareness of paying attention to her. We don't notice her. And then on top of that, we also saw on our screen for a second there. And then here she just would be the better target to be on, because she's further away from Mercy, and she doesn't have a health pack on top of her as well. So she'd just be a little bit fast. You do, like, actually do some damage to her. But there we do seem to, we don't get punished because the tanks don't turn around and peel, which they probably could have done pretty easily. And then also on top of that, they also have a Doom. Wait, no, where do they? Yeah, they also have a Doomfist who is nowhere near you, so they probably could have punished you there, but they didn't. Okay, so here we kind of hard dive in when I don't think, yeah, we don't really have HP to do so. Or no, sorry, not HP. We don't have shield. Honestly, this is okay, because we have orb, we have full HP. The issue is that we don't pay attention to Reinhardt, and then we probably could have just, if we were paying attention to him, we probably could have dodged his charge out. So just make sure we're watching for his charges. That way we're not getting pinned by him. And then that can just keep us alive, and then that means that we can maybe set up closer to the choke point or something along that line.
Right here, I'm kind of waiting for their tanks to get out to like push forward, and then that's when I've been like that's been my thing. Like when the tanks push forward, like then I'll go. But maybe that's not always correct. But
Yeah, so it really depends upon the situation. So in this instance, I'm trying to think about how to word this. So, I mean, you getting the tanks to push forwards is definitely a good idea, but you have to remember that the objective of our initial engagement isn't to get kills, right? So
right,
if you get pressured a little, if you get like the all the tanks being there would do is that you'd get pressured out sooner, right? You'd have to be out sooner. But isn't it better to be in there and pressured out sooner than to just be sitting around and not in there at all, right?
right,
So just being in there doing damage and creating space is going to be better than sitting around doing nothing. So in that way, we want to be in there even if we're being pressured out. We just want to be very careful that we're not hard engaging and that we're ready to get out at a moment's notice. Now here, again, maybe a little bit too far back because now we're going to require a leap to get to them, right? Whereas maybe let's say we were positioning a little bit closer, either on the left side here, and we just kind of walked in at them, or we played just on the on the corner here and got poked at them from this side or anything of that sort. We might be able to get in without using a leap, whereas here we're going to probably use a leap, and then that gets us, in. That's more of a hard engagement again when we're using that leap to go straight into their backline. Very hard engagement, and then let's see if we get punished for that. Probably yes. Okay, so
yeah.
that's an
They
example.
just
Yep.
all came for me. That's
Mhm.
crazy.
So this is an example of a hard dive, right? This is a completely hard dive. So think of it this way: hard dive is diving into the middle of their entire team or in the middle of a bunch of people for the objective of securing a kill. A soft dive, right, is when we are diving in maybe without using a jump, and our objective isn't to secure a kill but to create space and get ult charge and get damage in, right? It's softer. It's not We're not going in super like aggro. We're just playing a little bit aggro and ready to get out of a moment's notice. This is very aggressive. We're going straight into the back line, right, all the way in using our jump. Now we don't have a jump to get away, and we're just going to die as a result. This is going to happen a lot of the times when we do this, so we want to just get to understand better situations in which we use which. Most of the time, at the very beginning of a fight, you're not going to have a hard dive opportunity. Usually the only time at the beginning of a fight that you would have a hard dive opportunity is if basically if you have a team to coordinate a dive with, right? Like if you're running a full dive comp and you're communicating, hey, let's dive this person. That's usually the only time you'll ever go in right away. Or if someone wanders off on their own, and then besides that, maybe if you have your ultimate, but besides that, a lot of the time we're not going to have an opportunity to go for it, like right at the very beginning, which here we do go for it right at the very beginning, and then we die. So we just want to understand the difference between when we should be using those. So this one is a little bit better. Why is this one? This one's a hard dive too, right? This one right here, we're going
So
straight into a
like
team.
both of the teams are like already engaged, so
Mhm.
so it's not like I'm kind of by myself, but not really. Like I'm
So
closer to
so
my
it's
team.
instead of it being a 1v6 or 1v5 or whatever, it's a 1v2, right? That's one aspect of it. Definitely correct. What's one other aspect to this of why this is okay? Why this is much more acceptable?
My healers can probably see me a little better.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not going as far away from your team. Yep. One more.
Mm, I'm not completely like all the way behind them like I have.
Yep. That's an aspect. Ultimate charge, right? We're 94% to our ultimate.
Oh yeah,
Now
yep,
we
yep,
now
yep.
we have that get out of we're very very close to our get out of jail free card. So if we start getting pressure, like we're gonna dive in, we're gonna get that 6% very easily because we'll just Tesla someone for like 2 seconds and then we got it. And then now we have our get out of jail free card, right? That gets us in and keeps us in, and that means that we can hard dive much more acceptably, even if it wasn't a great situation for it, right? Otherwise. So, yep, that dive was much more acceptable because there were a lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of different reasons why that was acceptable.
This will protect us.
Double kill.
Oh,
He ended up dying.
Yeah, make sure we're paying attention to their health bars as well, because I mean, pretty sure here we could have just like Tesla'd the soldier too. He was like 1 HP here, so and he licks himself, so we probably could have just regularly punched him there, or regularly Tesla'd
Double
him,
kill.
and then that probably would have been better. And then
I go
here,
after the Reinhardt because I thought the Mercy was Valking, and like I just cannot primal. Oh, I know you can do it, but I cannot primal a Mercy.
yeah, I think that that's acceptable because we're also trying to get him off of our people on the ground. Now he gets them anyways, but we're also trying to save the people on the ground, which is also acceptable. And then watch out for the charge. This got us twice. Make sure that that's our fault if we're getting charged, so make sure we're trying to avoid it. We can leap to avoid it. We can step to the side. We can make sure that we're not standing directly in front of him, but instead what we can do is we can stand off to the side of him. So instead of standing like right here where we are directly in front of him, we can approach from an angle to where we're kind of like kiting him from the sides. Kind of the same way you'd do this to it's kind of like a charging bull, right, where you're not going to just sit there in a straight line running straight towards him. Instead, you're going to be ready at a moment's notice to just go left and go right. That way you are able to get away from him, and the weakness is the turns, right? He's not able to turn very easily, so you want to constantly just be like kind of walking to the side a little bit on him. So that's going to be how we can look to dodge out the Reinhardt, whereas there we just get pinned by him.
Werewolf.
Oh. I grab the health pack real quick, maybe. But I mean, I think she's gonna die anyways in a moment there. Oh, so we engaged there too late.
I thought more of my team was alive. I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, but here we can see, you can see teammates through walls. So just, exactly make sure we're paying attention. We're noticing a lot of bits and pieces of awareness here and there. So we just want to make sure we're keeping up our awareness and we're paying attention to our surroundings.
Onward and upward.
Activating self-destruct sequence.
Огонь по готовности. وريهم قوتك.
That's a soft dive right there. Right. So instead of diving straight, instead of going straight, okay, so like these are two examples of soft dives. First off, this one right here, we're not going in with the intent to kill something. We're jumping straight on the front line, plopping on bubble, very relatively safe. The intention isn't to secure a kill, right? We're not going to die there. Same thing here. Instead of just leaping straight on the Ana, which would be a hard dive, what we do is we just kind of slowly walk in. Right, this way we have jump to escape if needed. This is a soft dive, probably a good situation to do it, so that's a good play there, and it's just showing you more examples of what is a soft dive, right? Whereas, now that we have a lot more pressure going on, Mercy's 1 HP, now we can add in that jump because we can get away with it.
I feel like I use my bubble so off. Like I use it. I just put it down when I don't need it a lot. Like right there, like nothing was shooting me, and I don't know why I put it down, but
yeah. So
well, the Zarya was.
Here the Zarya was shooting at us. I think we were thinking. I mean, trying to think here. So yeah, Zarya was shooting at us here, so that's one thing they're shooting at us, and then the other thing is like if Zarya was not shooting at us, then we might have wanted to hold on to it for like an extra second, just like in case we needed to use it up against Ana, because if Ana just keeps running in a straight line here, she's just gonna walk away from the bubble, right? And then that bubble doesn't do anything. So it was just more about it. Yes, it's fine because Zarya was shooting at us, but if Zarya wasn't shooting at us, then yes, you're right. Then maybe it wasn't necessary.
Coming through.
I dodged that. Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a difference between this map and the last map. I would probably say that it would be a pretty poor idea for you guys to be trying to hold close up on this choke. Whereas on the last map, I told you, hey, you guys should probably be holding at the choke point, right? What would you say is the difference between those two, and why would I say that?
They have more. Well, there's two entrances, really. Like they could come in from like where they're going now,
Okay.
and then there's just not a lot of there's not a lot of cover either, and the objective's further back. So if like we'd have it would take a minute or two to retreat, like to come
So
back. I guess maybe.
a further retreat without
Yeah.
a way to get back very easily. Yep, that's one aspect to it. The different doorways isn't really an aspect of it because that same thing applied on the other map, right? Like on the other map, they could have gone up, or they could have gone left, or sorry, or they could have gone like the other underneath, right? So they had three different options there roughly. So I mean that one doesn't apply as much, but the other two main things I would be saying here is first off, they are on much more of a brawl comp here, right? They are on a Reaper, on a Reinhardt, on a Zarya, on an Ana. Whereas the last map they were running a Monkey, and they were running like a mix between a dive and a spam, right? Where last map they had a Monkey and they had and instead of a Reaper they had a Pharah. So on last map the close and close spaces didn't matter as much. Whereas here, they benefit from the close spaces, right? Whereas in this whole area, this is the close spaces. Whereas right here on point, this is the wide open space. They benefit most from the close spaces because they're close range comp, and then that's one of the big reasons why we won't want to be there. And then the second is just because, kind of like you said, is there's no real easy way to escape from here. Like on the last map, we could poke and we'll be fine up here because we can just leap back over the wall. But here, we can poke, and then where are we gonna go? Well, we can leap backwards, but then that might bait this might bait our whole team to just be holding up here and at the choke, and then we just leap backwards, and then now they're stuck in the choke. So overall, probably just I think the decision to hold point here is just better than holding up at the choke, whereas on the last map, holding up at the choke is different because it's a different map, different composition, and team composition dictates your playstyle.
Audio medic. Here, let's pick it up.
Whereas now, this is where we should be engaging, yet we're just kind of sitting back, right? This is where we should just be, going in, sitting right here and just going for some poking, especially when our Tracer just got a 2K. We should be going in and engaging on stuff, whereas we do kind of sit back a little bit.
Pardon me.
So just awareness again, where we just kind of lose track of people.
Barrier
Like here,
activated.
we are shooting at the Reaper, and then he gets booped by Lucio, and he's behind us, and then we
He
just
just
completely lose.
vanished. Man.
Yeah, we just completely lose where he's at. And then on top of that, probably we should be focusing the Soldier over the Reaper, just because he's gonna be easier to kill than the Reaper is.
I seem to
Leap slightly more often there just to get to places faster. So let's look for examples where we could have left. So right here, we're looking around. We see him. We find him. Right, we punch them into the corner, leap after them to catch up to them faster instead of just walking towards them. That wasted like a 2 seconds right there or so, right, where you could have just left after them. This does damage upon impact, right, does extra damage, kills them faster, while also allowing you to catch up to them sooner, right? Then we pin them into the wall. Once you have them pinned to the wall, this is where we should be leaping again. We, again, still have leap here. This would do extra damage, kill them faster, wouldn't really mess anything up. If we leap into the wall, we're going to be in the same exact spot because the wall's keeping us in this corner too, right? And then besides that, we do leap there, so that's fine. And then here at the very end, we get leap back for one last leap, or we could have leapt like a third time here and then just done some extra damage to the Reaper. So leap more times during our ultimate, does more damage, gets us places faster. All right, so that is the end of that game. Do you have another game you'd like to go over?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see that one.
Welcome to Blizzard World. Ready for battle.
Alrighty. Wait, oh. I joined the... Oh, it's a long, very long game. Okay, so I skipped forward too far because it was
You didn't miss anything.
yeah. Alright, so we're coming in here, slowly walking forwards. Okay, so this is an instance where we do not want to slowly walk forwards. So the slow walk forwards approach only works if you have basically only works if you have cover to work with, right? So you can do this if you're dropping in from a high ground, which high ground acts as your cover. You can do this if, for example, let's say that, I don't know, let's just say this was reversed and we were able to slowly walk up from on them using this wall as a corner or using this wall as a cover, right? Just using it so that we can block damage. We can't slowly walk forwards if they are like 10 meters away from us and we're just running into a bunch of spam damage, which is what the case is here. Here, we turn the corner and they're like 10 feet away or 10 meters away from us, right? And we just kind of walk forwards, which is just gonna let us get spammed at super easily. So alternatively, right now we're looking for the setup, right? We're actually right now the Sigma's low HP, so honestly, I wouldn't see too much of an issue if we leapt in like right behind the Sigma, put ourselves on this corner, placed a bubble, and then just Tesla'd the Sigma. We can bubble dance with the bubble. Our team's pushing up in a second here. This puts us out of line of sight of where's the other DPS at? Wait a moment. Oh, so I'm running back lane. Okay, so this puts us out of line of sight of two people, and then they don't have the third person with them, and then overall this might secure the kill on the Sigma. Alternate because here we just have the opportunity to where maybe we can go for a slightly harder dive just because we can get that Sigma out of the way. But alternatively, the other thing we can do is just dive in and go off to the right side here, and then just wait for our cooldown to come back. Maybe we can wrap around and run into their back line. Or we can just, now that we're over here, we've gotten past this long open stretch of no man's land where there's no cover anywhere. Now we can maybe just approach from this angle using this as cover, right? It's just more so don't run straight at them when you don't have cover. Because we attempt to do that and then we don't accomplish anything besides just waste bubble and health. Okay. I like that we're taking the high ground here and we located the Baptiste. Very good engagement. Though it's unfortunate we don't have bubble here. I do like that we waited for bubble to come back, though. That was a good decision. Though probably would have been a better decision here to try to acquire the Mercy as a target. So let's look at this. So we shoot at Baptiste. The issue is it's going to be very, very easy for Baptiste to live here because we are one single monkey. We don't have burst damage at the moment to kill Baptiste. Baptiste has self-healing. Baptiste has immortality. And then also we just aren't going to be able to Tesla him in time. Mercy can pocket him very, very easily. Whereas if we're shooting at the Mercy, Mercy doesn't have self-healing if you're shooting at her. She doesn't have an immortality that you can just place whenever she wants. And she also isn't going to be able to get healed by Baptiste as efficiently as Baptiste can miss shots or just not pay attention to her, right, or something of that sort. So maybe going for Mercy might be the better pick here, but it's not terrible. Trying to think here. Yeah, drumming back out would probably was a good decision to make, since we had a bunch of people on us. Though the other thing I would mention back up here is maybe waiting for our team a little bit more, noticing that through the if we're paying attention through walls, look how far away your team is. They have not taken very much space, particularly these three guys. Right? Notice how these if we engage and start doing stuff right now, these guys are not gonna be able to do anything at all. Right? They can't heal us, they can't support us, they can't damage with us. These guys, and also, I'd probably say Ash is the only person on our team who could be doing a tiny little bit to support us, right? Whereas here, if we're going in, now what does that mean? If our team's not a part of the picture, what does that mean for the enemy team? Who are they all looking at?
Me.
Yeah, so now we have instead of just us going in on their back line on like just the Baptiste and Mercy, and then they're not doing a very bunch of damage to us. Now we have Sigma, McCree, Roadhog, Bap, and Mercy looking at us. So that's 5 people who are looking at us and doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. So here we engage too early. We go in and start poking when we probably should not be poking. When we probably should just wait for our team. Because in this instance, if we just wait like 3 to 5 seconds, then we can go in when they're distracted and we actually have HP. But because we don't have because we go in too early, they drain all of our HP, and then now we're forced to back out while the fight's in the middle of happening when our team actually is here, right? So we go in too early, lose all our HP. Now we can't do anything when we probably want to be doing something, because look at this, where Sigma's 1 HP over on the side. That'd probably be a perfect dive opportunity if only we had HP to go in off of, right?
Yep.
All right.
Damage amplified.
Ooh, very nice. That was a good hard dive since he was isolated off on his own, right? Like here we saw, Hog's not near him. We have Bubble. He's off on his own, right? So that was a really good opportunity to go in for a hard dive, right? Yeah, I like that we're taking the high ground yet again, just getting up behind them. That's a good idea, though we do have to... Dang, man, the Baptiste is just shredding our health. We don't have our bubble yet.
Should I have just waited before I jumped? I
Like,
figured since the McCree got killed, like we would push a little harder, but I don't guess we did.
Yeah, notice again, this is a part of we didn't check behind us, and honestly, like, I couldn't even see because we didn't check behind us in the game. But again, notice where our team's at, right? Where 4 players on our team are at. So we think right here in our head that because we got McCree, that we're going in and it's a 6v5, right? That's what we think. But in reality, we're going in and really it's more like a 1-2-3, right? If we're counting, Sigma versus 1, right? So it's like a 3v1 kind of here, right? Our team's not with us. We don't have any team support. Therefore, we're not going to get healed. We're going to take a lot more damage. And we're not going to be able to kill anybody because Monkey doesn't do so hot at killing some people on his own, like, with his own power, right? He doesn't do so hot at that. He's kind of a finisher most of the time. He's the one who does, he deals the group damage and he deals the damage to finish off people. Not all the big burst damage. So here, just not paying attention behind us, whereas what we could have done is after we got the McCrees, just do a quick 360, pay attention to where your team's at, look behind you, be aware of our surroundings, look at where our team's at, whereas a lot of times we seem to not be aware of where our team's at here, and then therefore we can make some better decisions off of where they are at. Because notice now that we're in the middle backing out, well, now we have our team who's in a much more favorable position to help us out, because she threw Balb on point. They're actually up here to where they're a little bit closer. McCree and Anna have visibility over the point, so they can shoot at things now. So, at the time of us backing out and escaping, now this is where we can actually start to go in and do some stuff, right? Which is the opposite of what we should, what we actually did in this fight.
I'm on the objective. Rally to my position.
That's a really weird... I'm noticing that was a really weird grunt from Baptiste, man. Alright.
Objective A captured.
Protect the payload.
Alright.
Yeah, McCree was right there.
Yep, I was just checking how many people he had with him. Because, let's see, did we even check that in our game?
No. Well, I looked, but that's all I did. I didn't see anybody, so I didn't know who was there.
Yeah, so maybe in that instance, like if it was just McCree, we probably could have taken him on. So just for the sake of awareness, what we could have done maybe is just go over, walk up to him. We can drop a bubble maybe if we, if we wanted to, or even here what we could have done is maybe is just like leapt up top here and just eyed it out, see is it just McCree, and then if it's just McCree, just drop on top of him with a bubble, right? Is just an option here. Just maybe just go in a little bit more on top of him. That way we can get him if he's on his own, because there we don't know if he's on his own or not. Make your first target the Mercy, right? Because otherwise Mercy's just gonna, a lot of the time. So this gets into target priority, right? It's not just don't focus tanks, right? There's also easier targets to kill than other people when it comes to DPS and supports, right? So for example, who's easier to kill, a Baptiste or a Mercy?
Mercy would be
Mercy.
easier.
Who's easier to kill, a McCree or a Sombra?
McCree.
McCree, okay. So and therefore we just right there discovered we should probably be going for the McCree and the Mercy over the, if we have the option between the two, right? Who's easier to kill, a McCree or a Mercy?
Mercy.
Mercy, okay. And then on top of all that, so Mercy's probably the easiest to kill. And then also on top of that, she's also going to be one of the reasons why she is a lot easier than the other guys is because she can pocket the other guys very easily. So she is one of the reasons why it's very hard to kill the other people, because she's pocketing them and keeping them alive. And that's what happens here where, we leap in and get on top of the McCree, and, the McCree's the first person we're looking at, but then, we get in and do all that damage, but he's just getting pocketed by Mercy, and therefore we didn't really do very much, right? So probably just going for the Mercy right off the bat would be a much better decision here, if at all possible.
She kind of flew up there. I don't think she was there the whole time, but I I can't remember what I'll do here.
Look, so here you can see like just look, paying attention to awareness. We can see her beam on the hog from up on the high ground. We can see her on the top left through our
Yeah.
teammates here. Beam still on hog. We can see her on the top left still here. And then when we're leaping in, we see her there. So we do leap on the McCree, and then we were on the Mercy for half a second, and then we swapped off to the McCree, and then we swapped back to the Mercy here, right? So it's just, we had the opportunities, we could have seen her, but we just didn't, and then that's where, again, awareness comes into play, where we want to make sure we're paying attention to what's going on around us, so we can make better decisions.
Yep.
Activating self-destruct sequence. All systems checked out.
I should have really chased that. 'Cause I had Primal.
Yeah, so in this instance, you're definitely right. Because we do have Primal here, like you said, and then on top of that, like, we have our jump, so we could have just, dropped on top and then just leapt up back up to high ground if we wanted to here, whereas here we kind of leave the back line to just drop up to shoot at the over here. So you're definitely right. We back up unnecessarily there, and then that means that we lose out on a lot of value, though our team does pull it back around. Good dive.
Hurt somebody.
The payload.
Nice shot. I'm on fire.
Put it out.
Yeah, good job acquiring the Mercy first. That's a good idea. Good hard dive. Oh, battle. Okay, so good idea to dive in hard because they're all low, but pay attention to how the fight's going here, right? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus a 1, 2, 3. And on top of that, being at a 2-player advantage, which is already a very, very significant advantage, we also have them all at like 1 HP, right? Like half, third, and also purpled. So these guys are going to be dead in very, very soon. So this is a 1 fight at the moment, yet we're primaling, so that's a waste of an ultimate, whereas we probably didn't need that here if we're paying attention. So make sure paying attention to the flow of the fight so we don't mess up. We've we've done a lot of sessions, so I believe we've talked about just how to pay attention to kill feed before, yeah, and know when you've won or lost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, that's not something I need to re-go into, but you understand there, just didn't really do very much.
Yeah, this was a big mistake here.
Oh.
It's like the 2 people that you don't want to jump into.
Yep. I mean, you know what you did wrong there. Pay attention, team comps. Make sure you're not leaping at Monkey and Reaper.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this might be another instance where, again, you would probably be much, much better off swapping to a different character, as Reaper and Hog are not gonna, or you're not gonna have a very fun time against a Reaper and a Hog. And then on top of that, this last part of the map as well, is going to be the most, the closest quarters, the most brawly, the place where Monkey's going to have one of a harder job in comparison to a character like Reinhardt. So here this is another instance where we just have to overcome that obstacle, where it might be better to swap it to a different character, but it's up to you whether or not you want to do that or not.
Oh, that's all I hear, bro. Swap to Reinhardt. But like I get it, but I think what it is a lot of the times too is like it's a mixture of like, yeah, this fight is definitely very hard as a monkey, but I think the people who play DPS like I don't know what it is, but maybe they have more confidence and do better if they have a shield. I don't know if it makes them feel better that they have one, and then they end up doing better. I don't know. It's just
Um,
everybody seems happier when they get the tank that they want to have.
yeah, I probably say it's similar to that reason. Is like shields inherently act as like a buffer, where like you kind of see that like in comparison, like Overwatch 1 versus what we've seen for Overwatch 2, is like when there's less shields in the game, you have to rely on cover usage and flanking and off angles, which is already stuff that they should be doing, but it gives them kind of a band-aid to work with, where they're not forced to. One moment. Sorry, it's screaming going on in my background there. So in any case, yeah, it kind of acts as a buffer. So you're definitely right. Shields is definitely something that the community relies on very heavily. So they kind of get that comfort out of having the shield. And then on top of that, Reinhardt's just one of the more consistent characters at the moment. I would definitely say that, like power level wise, he's not. I wouldn't say that Monkey is like super far below Reinhardt. It's more so that just the community, he works in a lot more situations, and the community really likes him at the moment. So you're just gonna have a lot of people wanting him, right? And then it's just
Just
Reinhardt's just,
fine. I mean,
yeah.
it's whatever.
Yep.
What's I mean, I haven't kept. I mean, what is the meta? I mean, is it Reinhardt Zarya at the moment? Is what the best
So
loadout is, or
yeah, this is realistically, like, at the moment, it depends on where you're trying to get that from. Are you trying to get like what works in ranked, or what works like at the top levels of play?
that's just what everybody asks for in every game is Reinhardt Zarya. So I don't know if that's like
Yeah.
the best
So
combination now or what.
So currently, like ranked wise, there's realistically not a very insane difference between the different characters. A lot of the characters are at a very evenish power level at the moment. One of the better, like, we're in one of the better like patches of the game, where like you can play a lot of different things. A lot of characters are very map dependent though, and compositional dependent. So like Monkey isn't like that much worse than Reinhardt, but they're both good in their own situations, where Reinhardt's going to be good with Brawl on Brawl maps, Monkey's going to be good with Dive on Dive maps, right? That sort of deal. And that applies to a lot of the tanks and a lot of the other DPS and supports, with a couple of exceptions, like, you're not going to find a ton of value out of some of the DPS, like, Sombra and Doomfist require some team support, and Bastion has always not been great at top levels of play. But in any case, right, where I would say, I probably say you are seeing a lot of like Reinhardt Diva at top levels of play at the moment, I believe, is what a lot of comps or teams are running. But at the same time, like in Overwatch League, you have a bunch of teams who do run other things. Like you have, I believe, like, a lot of the Asian teams who play more dive or hybrid-esque type of compositions with, like, monkeys and balls and whatnot. So I mean, you definitely see a mix of everything on different maps, and honestly, monkey's fine. It's just like I've been saying, it's situational where he is fine. And this game in at the moment is a situation where he definitely isn't fine, though you can theoretically win here. It's just going to be very tough.
Yeah. Is it Orisa's not? People don't play Orisa anymore?
Um, I would probably say she's one of the weaker characters at the moment, or at least she's also, it's hard to say because she's also been one of the most disliked characters. So people don't really enjoy playing her, and then therefore it's hard to tell where she's at the moment because people don't
Yeah.
play her to see where she's at. But I would say that she's not super great in comparison to like a Ryan. I'd probably say Reinhardt's like the most consistent tank you could be
Yeah.
running. Diva's pretty decent. Monkey's pretty decent. Roadhog's pretty solid. So I'd probably say Orissa's one of the ones that are like more meh out of the tanks at the moment.
That's what I was saying. Like I was like trying to play ball, and there's just no point in me trying to learn that character. Like I'm just not good at that
At
at
that
that
play
play
style.
style. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Hard dive straight into their team. No opportunity.
I
No
just
ultimates.
straight on that reefer, dude. Like
Yeah,
that was so
so
bad.
I would imagine that this could end poorly
Oh, it
as
does.
long as they look at us, right?
Oh, it ends poorly for
Yeah.
sure.
This will
Oh yeah,
protect
never
us.
mind. We get a nano, so
Unstoppable.
that's what fixes the problem. Maybe we communicated that. If it was communicated, that's actually a pretty solid play. I don't have the comms at the moment, so I don't know if you do if you were or not. But that's fine since you had that. There we stopped shooting for some reason. Why do we stop shooting? Like we got our ammo
I
back.
had to.
No, because we have
Oh,
our ammo
okay.
here, right? And then we just kind of pause,
I
and then
was
we start
trying to
shooting.
jump, and then I didn't have jump, and
Oh, it's because you were hacked, I think.
Weapon system.
Look,
oh.
we were hacked here. We were just sitting trying to jump. All right, we lost, and that's just because they pressed Q. That's it. And they used one. Oh, I guess. Yeah, they used two ults. We used. Okay, never mind. We both used both same ults, but they used some more powerful ultimates. That's what that was. Sombra EMP is just more powerful than Valk and Nano.
Eyes on the bad guys. Here it comes.
Step right up. You know what they say. A payload in motion stays in motion.
Iniciando.
All right, there we just kind of saw Sombra walk past us, and we don't notice it. So here we just you see her there, and we hear her as well. Just
I
watch
did
this.
not say that until you just said something about it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot. Yeah.
Yep. So awareness, seeing and hearing, and then also just team composition dictates play style. Make sure we're intentionally watching and paying attention to where she's at, because that is a pretty important thing that we know. That we're watching out for her so she doesn't just hack us. So there, if we had known that she was there, what we could have just done is. What we can do here is we can we can shoot at her, right? And then this could maybe decloak her, and then this would force her out of the fight for a little bit. And then once she's out of the fight, we can leap into their team and engage, right? Because now they're basically down a player for the next couple of seconds. But instead, we get hacked, and then we slowly walk at her, and then now we're going in.
Stop a minute once I get into a rhythm.
This will protect us.
Oh, there we swapped targets when I don't think we should have swapped targets. Here we're on the Brig, and Brig is still within shooting distance, especially if we just walk closer. But instead, what we do is we swap over to the Reaper, who is just gonna self-heal and has more HP than her. Alright, so it'll probably just be better that we stick on the Brig there.
Eyes on the bad guys. Огонь по готовности.
Maybe focusing a different target with her Primal. Then the Zarya, like the Baptiste, for example, might be the best person in the situation. Since we can just boop him out if he immortalities, and Reaper's just gonna farm us, and Zarya has a ton of HP, and Brig is rallying. So Baptiste would probably just be the best character to go for here. Maybe if we're thinking, this would be like a little bit more advanced, but maybe if we're thinking about it, we could like boop Brig away just so she can't get rally on people. But besides that, I just boop Baptiste away from Brig, try to keep him away. That way he is able to not get like the armor from the rally, right? And then we can just isolate him.
По готовности.
Well, I think I was, yeah, I
No,
think I was trying to like boot Zarya into my team where we could kill her, but
yeah,
we
and
got grabbed.
Payload
then
is
he also just left it in the grab there, so watch out for it, right?
Yeah.
I seem to have lost my temper.
Okay, fine. I'll find an Andy. Hard dive straight in the back line. No bubble. No team support. They have rally armor. No one's low. No one's out of position. No ult. Right. Then therefore, me get melted. All right, when we die. Alternatively, probably could have if that was a loss. I don't even think that wasn't even a lost. No, that was a lost fight. Alternatively, there we probably could have just backed up, right, and then
Like
not
if you
defended
know
damage
the
ults.
fight is lost, I mean, is it better to just to run away, or is it better to like get a good leap and like try to get some ult
Oh,
charge and then die?
definitely depending on the situation, right? I always say this when I talk about, when you've lost a fight, you, if possible, get out, and if not possible, you let them kill you. So if you have the opportunity here, here we definitely do, right? Where we're right here, right? We can most certainly, like right here, we can just turn around and book it. We can leap out. We're good. There's no chance that they get us. No chance at all. We have like a 99% success rate if we just turn around and get it out and try to get out, that we're gonna survive. Whereas let's say that the fight ended and we were like positioned right here. Well, now does that success rate go down a little bit? Probably. It might be a lot harder to actually get out. So if you're just in the middle of their team, or you're low HP, or you don't have leap, then just let them kill you, right? Because then you want to die as fast as possible, so you don't stagger yourself and you can group up with your team. So it really depends upon the situation, but you definitely don't want to be feeding them 500 ult, 500 ult charge if you yourself are not going to be getting a very much out of it, right? Here we leap in, we're at 15%. We jump in and we go up to 20, we go to 30, right? So we get 15% off of it, but then we feed them a bunch of ult charge as well, because we did damage to one single person for like 200, like what we did max there, like 150 damage, right? Whereas they just did 500 damage, so it wasn't really a great trade-off.
Yeah.
We can't let the payload just sit there. Step right up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they staggered themselves. Probably here just want to be grouping up, not engaging, waiting for a team. Yep, I like that we're not leaping in.
I'm taking care.
I would probably be taking the high ground faster here. So while our team is grouping up, we see how far away they are, like how far back. I would leap up, take this above them. This would allow us to just kind of walk around using the high ground, and then just drop straight on top of the supports in the backline here, which would allow us to get a much easier engagement where we can soft engage instead of having to hard engage with a leap, right? Whereas here we hard engage with the leap, and then we take a lot of damage and just barely survive because we get team support, right?
Payload in
She just didn't. This was terrible. Like she just would not die. I should have killed the. I should have went on the bat, but I don't know, man. Like I have such a problem when I use ultimate. Like I just get tunnel vision. Like once I get on somebody, like I just don't come off of it, even if it's a bad target.
Yeah,
It's just a bad habit.
just looking around to do more than just do damage. So for example, I guess never mind, we don't have it there. So different things that we can be doing with it. So here she's 1 HP, but she's just being pocketed by everybody. We can separate them, we can boop these guys back, and then maybe go up and focus the people up on the front line.
Like he was weak too, right there.
Yeah, like Baptiste is low, exactly, right? Like we can swap targets over to the Baptiste if we see that he's low. But you're definitely right. Like here she just gets pocketed, and maybe we can swap targets around. We do hit both of them a little bit there. Honestly, our team we don't have any team support is the big problem there.
Were they there? Like they were alive, weren't they?
They got right as we ulted. They got like basically all moved back, right? Look at they just get pummeled on the front line here, and right as we're ulting. Like if we had I don't blame you too much for this because like basically while we're ulting is like you can't really see it in kill feed and you can't really see it too well from our perspective. So the awareness is like would be very difficult to have, but it's still awareness, right? Where like if we're paying attention here, the decision probably is this is probably looking more like a lost fight because we're down. You know, if we see this, right, this is a lost fight, right? We're down
Yep.
2. One of them's 1 HP. We have a baby diva, so 2.5, and then 1 HP. So really, we just don't have any team support at all, and then that's why they don't die. So if we're just paying attention, that would have been a bad ult, but it would have just been very difficult too. So not too many points off, but still, you know, could have been paying attention. And then we also stay in a lot long. If we notice that our team's not there, right, we're not gonna get any benefit out of a kill here once we've lost the fight. So instead of just pummeling them here, it'd probably just be much better that we just leap out, and then that would mean that we get out, don't feed them more ult charge, and it means that we are going to be able to regroup with our team. Whereas here, because we stay in, we end up staggering longer, and then notice by the time we actually die, our team is like a mile ahead of us. Look at where all those guys are, and then now they could be engaging without us, and then they can die without us. Oh,
Excuse me
watch for the jump.
dropping in.
Огонь по готовности. Get in there.
I was trying to save the Ash there, but
That's reasonable. I think trying to think if you could have bubble. I think you're trying to like bubble on the very edge so you can get her in it. I think you'd be able to do that, yeah, if you tried to do it.
This will protect us.
I thought about it for a second and I was like, is she gonna be okay? It's like, no.
Yeah.
Probably need to give her a bubble.
Escorting the payload.
Heroes never die.
10 seconds remaining.
Have time to waste. Attack now.
This dude is just not gone all game.
Okay. Very well played in that last fight. We just did a lot of good dives.
Ready for battle. 2, 1. Attackers.
God, this was a long game, dude. That we both pushed it
Get in the
to the third point, and then it got into overtime. I'm thinking when it got into overtime, it just started getting like very toxic. It's just nobody wanted to. It was bad. We ended up losing, I think.
There you're at. Hello there.
All right. Trying to think of where.
I don't know why I
we
was
could
up
set
there. Like,
Yeah.
like
If
the Boger guy told me, like right there, like the right to the right,
Mhm.
like that was like a good spot to be.
Yep.
And like I see, because like where Diva is now, like I can't. My Tesla won't reach. Like it'll reach people if they walk like directly, like right below me. But like I can't shoot anybody
Yeah.
from right there.
This is exactly what I was thinking too. Is like coming over here because then this is one of the they're much more likely to come through this side than they are to come through this side. Most of the time they're going to come through this side, which means we can just drop on top of them very easily. Alternatively, also, if we are going to be up top left, instead of just kind of sitting here and letting them shoot at us for free and pressure us out, we could hide around this corner until they walk further in, and then that way we can, once they do come a little bit further in, then we can drop on them and go behind them, right? That's options that we have here that we don't take, and then therefore we just take a lot of unnecessary damage and use abilities and just feed them a lot of ult charge, right?
This will help.
Alright, so we're not really doing too much at the moment.
I get hooked right here.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an aggressive dive, whereas what we could have done maybe here, let's see, Like here, maybe what we could have done instead of just leaping straight in their team is like leaping to where we have cover to work with. So if we leapt up to the high ground behind them, we have the high ground cover we can work with to shoot at people still. If we left to even to the boxes, we could pressure the Sombra to just translocate out, which would put them down a player for a little while, and then we can just shoot at the hog from the safety of cover where we can duck from these other guys and from the hog hooks. Whereas here we just kind of hard dive straight into the back line, which doesn't seem to get too much success. And then we also stay in here slightly too long, right? Like here we come in, we shoot at them, and then here we get our jump, and we could have leapt like right now if we were spamming it, but instead I guess we die, and then you see it's like not on cooldown, and I don't think we were in the jump animation, so I don't know. It's hard to say there. I'd probably say the big thing was just that we hard engaged, and that was the big problem. Yeah, the big problem in that fight was just the hard engagement instead of a soft engagement. When again, shouldn't have hard engaged, should have soft engaged instead, because we didn't have a reason why we could hard engage. We have to wait for the opportunities.
Miracle of silence.
Stop the payload.
Behind you.
Barrier activated. Easy. Hey.
Enemies here.
Oh.
Very up.
Ag twice in a row.
Yeah.
And I get stuck.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. Alright. Yep, that's fine. All good, but I was a little bit disorientated by how much we were napping.
Yeah. I was looking for the Anna, but say like right there, I don't want to jump past him. That's why I don't.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind if you do leap past if you do leap past someone, you can always turn around. So a couple things here. First off, I would say maybe stop swinging when you're not anywhere near someone, as this can just give you some more, like you'd be able to see a bit more. As notice when you're not swinging, your whole screen's clear, right? But when you do swing, it's taking up like half of your screen to swinging, and then that drastically lowers your awareness, right? Because you can't see what the heck's happening when your arms up in your face like this, right? Like where the heck's McCree at? So in this instance where we're just slowly walking towards him, stop swinging instead of just like continuing to do it. Firstly, secondly, here we can just go for a short jump. Are you familiar with short jumps at all? I feel like I asked that last time and you said you were.
Yeah, like I press jump and then hold
Yeah,
S.
so here we probably
Yeah.
could just short jump it, and then that would just probably land us straight on top of him. And then here, when he's right next to us, we don't have to jump, of course, but once we boop him, now we can leap after him, and then we're fine, right? Or we can leap after him here, and it would be fine, right? So I think those jumps are were pretty solid. If we do end up behind him, all we have to do is just turn around, and then we're fine, or then we can hit him still. You just want to make sure you're not jumping all the way past him. Very nice. Let's see, where are we repositioning to? Probably say we don't want to be in this room. Much better positioning would just be to take this high ground to where we can just drop on top of people from, right? With that way we can soft dive very easily. Whereas this room is not going to benefit us at all, and it's just not going to be a very good positioning for a monkey.
This will protect us.
And then our hog maybe didn't need a bubble there just based off his health bar, right? Like maybe if we saw him getting lower or something, then we could have. But other than that, we probably didn't need it.
Like I could have bubbled that high noon, but
Yeah, and then we're also just sitting out of this fight a lot. Like I don't know if we.
well, he was whole hogging,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
Yeah. Well, just keeping in mind that like just because he's whole hogging doesn't mean that we have to sit out and do nothing. Like we could have, for example, like here we leapt out for some reason. Like here we left like that, whereas, you know, alternatively, let's just rewatch this. He's not looking at us. We're not taking any damage. We don't need a leap here. We could just run around this corner, and maybe we just use that jump to get up to the high ground, right? We just use that jump to reposition, and then now we're in much better positioning where we can just drop on the Zenyatta who's half HP and burning, right? Just as an example, or the McCree and the Sambar who are going right side, and the McCree who's half HP and burning, right? Examples right there where we just instantly find a lot more value instead of just sitting out of the fight, right? And then on top of that, here we just here we're just kind of chilling. I would probably just push forwards and position ourselves near this, where now we just have same cover usage, except for now maybe we can shoot at the Ana, who is, you know, right next to us, and we probably could do a decent bit of damage and help kill her there, right? And then we beat the monkey, and then by the time we're doing anything, we lost the fight, right? We just kind of sat out a little bit too long there. Oh,
I
remember?
thought,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought Sigma was going, but
let's see.
uh,
Yeah,
hey,
that's a situation where, you know, just you and Sigma thought differently. Um, that's a hard one. Because this is an instance where, like, yeah, maybe communication would be the only thing I would say would have fixed this issue, where, like, you could have said, like, Sigma, go to point, or I'm diving their backline, or something like that, which could help resolve this situation. But I'd probably say the only thing here would have just been better team coordination, and just, like, communicate with him, like, what you want him to do, or something along those lines, and then that way you're not both on, you know, you're both on the same page rather than, you know, not on the same page.
Barrier activated.
You're going to be okay.
Barrier, out of existence.
Here it comes.
Right, so here probably I would probably use this time where we're just kind of chilling, because notice how your whole team's low, right? Or like, you know, Maze 1 HP, you know, the Ash is a little bit down. You have an Ana in their backline for some reason. You don't have healing, so I would probably just real quickly just grab the health pack real quick, and then that way you get your health up pretty fast, instead of just kind of chilling here waiting for heals. And then the other thing is, I'd imagine one of the reasons that we sat there is because we weren't aware of where Ana was, in which case that comes down to awareness again and just looking around us. Now, Ana did kind of feed there, so you are down a person. And then we are just kind of chilling. Here, we just fully back up, but keeping in mind that remember, like, just how, when it comes to watching kill feed, being on one person isn't a lost fight, especially when you're using, you know, ultimates like Valk and Bob that you're using, right? Whereas here, we just fully backed off when we were down one single person. Our team was pushing forwards to be aggressive, but because we got out, now it's a 4v6 that they're trying to fight. So that was our bad. Like, we were just playing way too passive at the moment. We're just not really doing anything at all, whereas we probably want to be in there doing things.
Once more.
Alright, Ana's just kind of feeding, man. What is Ana doing? That sucks. And then notice again how we're just kind of chilling when we could just be up here where these guys are at. We could bubble to help Mercy get along with that. We can be doing some poke damage, but we're just kind of sitting in the corner here, right? And then because of that, Mercy dies, whereas we probably could have kept Mercy alive, and we probably could have been doing a lot more right now.
Get in there.
I'm operating at optimal levels.
Alright, so it's just a lot. And then we overroll it here as well. So honestly, just as a quick refresher, because we've seen a lot of this so far, just remembering how to watch kill feed. When you are up 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage. When you are down 1 to 2 people, that is a disadvantage. You're getting aggressive or passive accordingly. When you are up 2 to 3 people, that is a 1 fight. No ult in a 1 fight. Right now, right, we are currently even, But there's a lot of, you have to remember as well that there's a lot of other things that go into whether or not you're winning or losing, right? Which team has better health? They're all low health, right? Let's see, like I can't remember because what health were we before
Payload is approaching its
ult there,
destination.
right? We had health, we still had some health to work with, right? So on our team, or in comparison to their team, we do have more health, right? On top of that, we have close spawns. They have very, very far spawns. Their spawns are all the way over there, right? Whereas our spawns are very close, so we're going to be getting right off of that alone. I'd probably say that wins us this fight, and we don't have to worry about using our ultimate just because of how close our spawns are. I almost guarantee we can't lose this fight, right? So therefore, primal is not needed there, right? When you have won the fight, you want to look to not use ults, and you also want to look to get super aggressive to go and finish them. And then when this also goes the exact opposite way, when you're down 2 to 3 people, that is a lost fight. No ults in a lost fight, and then you're also going to want to look to to get out if possible, and if you can't, let them kill you. So here, we just ult when probably it was not needed. Okay, because we also have bubble. The other thing note here is that we do have bubble as well that we don't pop, right? So maybe, bubbles in 1 second. We could have bubbled right now that we don't notice, and then that would have stopped us from taking some damage. Using that bubble, we can probably kill the Zenyatta, and then that puts us at a 3v2, and then from that point, we probably win the fight. Even if we die here, honestly, that's fine. It's probably better that we die than use our ultimate at the moment, because it's just probably not needed. Oh, no. Sigma, that wasn't good.
Oh, he solo ulted the
Yeah,
or
he ulted too.
Initiating.
Not much we could do there.
That's teamwork.
that character's so annoying.
Yep. Though here, one thing I would say we could be doing is setting up on these high grounds, right? We can set up here, right? Very, very good spot to just set up on. Just drop straight on top of them when they come through. Alternatively as well, we have here where we can just set up behind them and just drop on top of them when they come through instead of just, notice how we're just like very, very far on our back line, and that means that we pretty much have to hard dive if we want to be in there at all, right? Which is something we don't want to do. This us setting up between the fight like in between fights here sets us up for the very easy soft dives, right? So remember, in between fights, we want to reposition to the best place possible, and a lot of times that's high grounds if possible, and or just closer up instead of standing behind your entire team, right?
Initiating.
Now that's teamwork.
Heroes never die.
Because again, the fights that we're losing a lot of these fights just because we're just sitting in the back, not really doing anything. Like during this whole fight, like what could we say that we've even done, right? Like we're sitting around here and we're chilling and then we accidentally bubble too early, right? And then the bubble goes back there, right? And then we're sitting and we're chilling and we're sitting, we're chilling and we're sitting, we're chilling, and then by the time we're doing anything at all, we've lost this fight pretty much. We're down 2 people already, they've EMP'd, and we're sitting here and chilling, and we're sitting here chilling, and then we're down 3 people, and then we finally start shooting at stuff, halfway through the fight, right? Or sorry, not halfway through the fight, after the fight's done, right?
Yeah.
So much more, not just aggression, because I don't want you, and I don't want you to take this in the complete opposite direction and then just go at 100% aggression all the time and just leap straight into the backline. Have we talked about the aggression scaling yet?
I'm not sure.
No? Okay, so just interrupt me if we have talked in depth on this, but usually when it comes to your aggression, you have a scale. At 100%, you have incredibly aggressive, right? You're going in super aggressive. At 0%, you have very passive. Right in the middle, smack dab in the middle, is just neutral. It's where you're playing just in the middle. It's what your average gameplay is going to be. When there's no advantage or disadvantage, you're playing at neutral, right? So at the very beginning of a fight, a lot of the times you're playing at neutral aggression. Now, when you get advantages, you start to play more aggressive. So let's say that you are up one person. Now you're going to bump it up from a 50% to a 60%. Oh, excuse me. All right. Yeah, so you're bumping up from a 50% to a 60%, right? Two people is a 60% to a 70%, three people is 80, five people is 90, six people is, I feel like I missed one number there, but in any case, 60 or six people is a 100, right? Where you're scaling it up with how many kills your team has on them. When you are down one person, you're now dropping it down to play more passive. You're now down to 40. Now, once you die, another person is dead. Now you're down to 30. Now you're down to 20. Now you're down to 10. Now you're down to, now to 0, right? As you're losing more and more people. And then remembering that there's other things that do affect that scaling, not just the kills. The kills is just a very easy way to demonstrate it. You also have all the other things that go into it, as well as like your health and your shields and your abilities and whatnot, right? Now, that all being said, during a lot of these fights that I'm talking about, instead of being at our neutral 50%, we're during these fights we're sitting at like a 20% or so, right? Which is much too passive, right? We're playing as if we're already down like 3 or 4 people, right? That's much too passive to be playing during fights. So instead, we want to make sure we're at 50%. Now, I'm not saying that you should be at 80%, right? There's a very big difference.
Yeah.
I don't want you to all of a sudden be inside of their team at all times. It's more so I just want you to scale it up a little bit, be at the neutral. Don't go too aggressive, but there are situations where you do need to get aggressive, right? Is that all scale that all that scaling makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right.
Beacon.
This will
All right. So here we just go straight in, hard dive. Like Zen's semi-isolated, but as you see here, Hog just very easily comes and shoots us. So alternatively, maybe we could have just plopped ourselves on cart and then shot the Lucio or something like that, who might been a better target than leaping straight for the Zenyatta, right? So we just go a little too hard here, right? Too aggressive. We go up to an 80 right away. We hard dive when we don't have an advantage to go off of, and then therefore we lose. Or we die. Not lose. We just die here, right? Whereas we probably just could have survived pretty easily. Why? We keep getting like the reviving image. I think that's like a bug. Because on our team, we don't even have a mercy. What the heck? How are we getting the reviving image every time we?
I'm not sure.
Hello there.
Sometimes the replays are just bugged like that. All right. Watch for the walls right next to you. Oh. Oh. Yeah, not much we can do there.
I'm just getting melted.
Yep.
That Discord just stings.
Yep.
The two.
I love it. Like when I jump on someone as monkey and there's a Discord, because it's like as
Oh,
soon like you just land on them and they're dead. It's crazy. Yeah, this is like really bad. Like I don't know. It's just bad. Like I was trying to go or figure out a way to like get in. Like, and my default on this map is to like jump on that high ground like behind them. Which I mean it's a good place to go, but it's if they're like right up past the choke with a roadhog and you don't want to show yourself, it's hard to like get around the corner to jump in that high ground.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do it like as a 2-step instead of a 1-step. Like I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to like walk across this whole thing and then jump. Whereas what you could
Yeah.
do is you're just go jump, wait a couple seconds, jump, right? And then
Yeah.
that's just the setup that you should probably be going for that would allow you to get to that high ground pretty easily. Whereas here we just kind of walk it or so, right? It would just be a lot more efficient to try to go for the multiple leaps.
Press the attack.
And then again, notice how we're just in this fight, and the fights that we're losing are the fights where we've done absolutely nothing, right? Where we've had zero impact. It's as if we didn't exist during this fight because all we did was bubble and shoot Roadhog for like 3 seconds, and then we're done, right? That's it.
Yeah.
So that's our impact on losing this fight, is the fact that we didn't do anything at all, right? Is our lack of impact is the reason why we're losing that fight and why we've lost a lot of the other fights. Most of the fights that we're losing are due to us just not doing anything at all, or us just going in and
I
hard
feel
feeding, right?
great.
It's like 100 or nothing.
Yep, exactly. Where instead of having that balance where we're getting aggressive at the right times and then being neutral at the right times and then being passive at the right times, it's either we're at 100 or 0, like at and we're
Yeah.
never neutral, and then we're also sometimes messing it up where we should be aggressive and we're not, or we should be passive and we're not, right? So it's just all out of whack in terms of aggression. Uh-oh. Okay. So here, first off, noticing that we are still down 2 people when we're turning the corner and leaping in, or sorry, still down 1 person, as Anna's still respawning. So maybe just waiting an extra little bit, because your McCree and Ash are also low. Also pay attention to their team. Probably would recommend at the moment just go bottom left and wrap around, as we'll take a lot less damage while also getting close up to them, because right now they're on a full-on spam composition. Hog is spam, Torb is spam, Zenyatta spam. Zarya isn't super spammy, but she works. Ana works. The Sombra works. So maybe they're a little bit of a hybridy spam, but in any case, it's gonna be very hard to walk straight down choke up against that, which means that just going bottom left, wrapping around, probably be much better off for you than this, right? That's gonna happen when you try to go down main, right?
Excuse me.
Alright, so now we're on the defense.
Damage output increased.
Follow my
Same
lead.
thing, position top left, top right. If you are going top left, just make sure you're not exposing yourself. But here's definitely the, out of the 3 options, the worst option, just because we can't engage them until they get like 2 point, which by that point you're already down your Ash, right? Or you're already taking a ton of damage. Like, let's again, where we'll probably notice where like by the time we're doing anything at all, we're already down people, or we're already down a bunch of HP. Like, let's maybe like look at the HP bars, like by the time we're in there doing things,
You all look like you needed some
or
healing.
the ult charges. Like, right by the time we're going in and doing things, we're down a player, right? Just because we haven't had an impact. Whereas notice how if we were positioned top right, we could have engaged them just like a full like 7 seconds ago, right? We could have engaged them like right now, right? Before stuff has happened. We could be plopping a bubble down, which would stop Hog from hooking stuff, right? So just us being in the better positioning here and repositioning to that better positioning would be a lot better. And then we're also just playing too passive here. Whereas, alternatively, the other thing is make sure you're ahead of your team. Like, even if we are sitting with our team, make sure you're sitting with your team here, not behind them all. As the main tank, your objective is to stop them from dying and create space and be there for them, which means if you're going to sit here on the front line, sit here on the front line up front. Be in front of them. You be the one to take the hook, not them, or bubble the hook or whatever. Just make sure we're not sitting all the way behind them, whereas a lot of times we are just noticing that we're just kind of chilling in the back, right? And then we finally leap in, but by that time we're down a player, and then we hard engage here, and then I imagine we die, right? We hard engage, and then we don't have a way to get out. No, we probably shouldn't have hard engaged. Could have soft engaged, right? Would have been much better. So you just see a lot of the main points shining through, because you see them, we see the same things popping up over and over and over and over, and you see how the same mistakes are coming through. Mainly awareness, aggression, and when to hard dive versus soft dive are the big ones that keep showing themselves over and over and over and over and over. And then also a bit of positioning, right? We'll get into all of that like in the review and wrap up and whatnot at the very end of the main points. Alright, so here we're just basically stalling it out.
30 seconds remaining.
Instead of just chilling, go and grab a health pack, right? Health pack, right? Instead of just sitting here at 150 HP, right?
I'm here, Thornberry.
I think I was just done with this game
Yeah.
like at this point, but
This is going to
Yeah, just remember, there's 18 seconds left. Very drawable, right? Very, very drawable. every single game, not every single game, right? Like, not I've come. This is a very a topic with myself that I've developed my opinion on over the years of playing Overwatch. But most of your games, you're going to be able to win, right? Or you're going to be able to no matter how toxic your team is, no matter how trash they are. I've had games where I've had like everyone screaming at each other and then we win at the end anyways, right? It happens. It's gonna happen. Still go for the win here, right? Like make sure we're still trying, even if like everyone else is toxic, right? You just go for the draw. You have 18 seconds left, man. Just stick it out, right?
This will
Yeah.
protect us.
There, we kind of going a little bit hard when we don't have HP to work with. Yeah, so just going for the health back upgrade, but yeah, that's it. That's game over. All right, so that is over. Why don't we get into the wrap up now? So main points, and then the review, and then the wrap up. So let's see. Number one thing out of everything we talked about was going to be the awareness slash aggression. Or why don't we, honestly, I'm trying to think. Why don't we separate the two? Usually I pair those together, but I feel like aggression was such a big thing. And also, we'll just replace it with the mechanics category, as Monkey doesn't take mechanics, right? So we'll just separate it just to make it easier to remember and whatnot. So overall, the biggest thing to work on was the aggression, right? Of how we're going, when we're going, and all the logistics in between that. So let's talk about a couple things that fit into this. So first off, hard diving versus soft diving is a part of this aggression. When do we go in super aggressive? When do we just kind of chill? You go in and you hard dive and you leap straight into their back line when you have opportunities. So when you have your primal, because that's a get out of jail free card. When you have a bunch of team support and if you're all going with a dive. If they're not all looking at you. If they're isolated, like if this guy's all the way over here, you can go on this anytime you want, because this guy, you're not going to get punished by all those guys if this guy's off on his own. Sometimes you can do it if someone's low, if this one's iffy, but you can do it if someone's low, because then you can secure that low HP kill, and then now that's one less person who's shooting at you and you'll be taking less damage, right? Those are situations where we can hard dive, right? Situations where we should not be hard diving and where we should be soft diving instead is most other situations where we don't have that opportunity. Here we want to be just getting in, preferably without a leap, right? We would just be dropping in from a high ground. It's very efficient because we can just go drop, shoot, bubble, we feel pressured, leap back up to high ground, right? That's just how it works, right? Or alternatively, we can walk up to them, making sure we're using cover properly. If we don't have cover, leap from cover to cover. So like, let's say we're starting from back here, instead of just, walking forward here slowly straight at them, right, where we'll take a ton of spam damage, use some extra jumps, right? Like take a jump to set up here and then wait a couple of seconds so you have your jump and then poke, and then walk forwards, right? That we just want to make sure we're soft engaging, get out whenever your objective is to create space, get ult charge, get in damage, have an impact, not just kind of sit around and do nothing, right? And then that's one of the big ones. That was like one of the big major points of it. That could honestly have even have its own category, but it's only one thing really. But so we'll fit it in with aggression. Besides that, more on aggression, scaling. Your scaling bar thingamabob, right? Try to stay at 50% aggression. Scale it up when you have advantages. Scale it down when you have disadvantages. When you have kills, go up. When you're down or down teammates, right, go down. When you have teammates with you, it goes up. When or it stays neutral. When you don't have teammates with you, it goes down. When you don't have health, it goes down. When you don't have abilities, it goes down. When you have other advantages, it goes up, right? It's just paying attention to your surroundings and what advantages and disadvantages you have, and then adjusting accordingly. That's why awareness usually pairs with the aggression, is because you base your aggression off of what's going on around you, right? Besides that, make sure we're not just constantly at either 100% or 0%. We want to be more so in the middle, and then adjusting accordingly. And then that was a lot of the main points in there. Number 2 is going to be your awareness. Awareness, pay attention to kill feed, right? This affects your aggression. When you're up 1 to 2 people, advantage or when you're up or down 1 to 2 people, advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3, won or lost fight, right? When you won or lost a fight, no ults, and then on top of that, we want to make sure that we're getting super aggressive, right? Or we're backing up if possible. If not, let them kill you. Other things, pay attention to your abilities. Sometimes we wouldn't use them when we had them, or we would leap in when we didn't have them, or whatnot. Pay attention to your health bar so that we're grabbing health packs. Pay attention to where is your team at, because a lot of times we just kind of walk in and our team was nowhere near us, right? Where we would engage, and then they would be, like our team would be like back of the choke here, and then we'd be like, yes, I'm going in, right? And then we would just be in without any team support. Whereas alternatively, make sure that before we're engaging, we're checking where they're at, right? So before we're going for the leap, just do a quick 360 check. Do I have my team? If you don't, wait for them. If you do, great, go in, right? So do that double check. Pay attention to where the enemy team is, like the Sombra, just general awareness. Other things, just pay attention to the enemy team and their health bars and whatnot. And then that's pretty much it there. So moving on, number 3 is going to be, let's see, we're between ult, ability, and positioning. Probably say positioning. Make sure the biggest one is just repositioning in between fights is the big major one. Is just make sure we're taking those high grounds. Make sure, especially in between fights, make sure we're pre-positioning there. That way we can just drop on top of them. And on top of that, make sure we're using cover and we're leaping from one bit of cover to the next bit of cover instead of just walking through the open. Remembering that good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover, right? And then those are all the kind of main things. There's mainly just taking high ground so we can do the soft dives a little bit better, right? On from there, we have our ultimate usage that comes in next. Making sure we're not using it in won or lost fights is a big one, right? Where we just used it a couple times and we probably shouldn't have. And then on top of that, swap targets, when the thing you're shooting at isn't dying or it's not the right target. Just don't feel like you have to hard lock on something. And then also, if you're not near something at all, just make sure that you are not swinging so you can see a bit more. And then also make sure that you are leaping more often during your primal. That way we can catch up to people. Actually, now that I'm trying to think. Now that I'm trying to think, because there's more things in the ultimate category, but it was really important that with the positioning. So honestly, we'll just tie those two because those are pretty similar in ranking of like what you need to work on. So just they're both tied. Ultimate usage and ability usage, or sorry, not ability usage, positioning. Ultimate usage and positioning are both tied for the number 4 slot, and then the number 3 slot, and then finally, at the number 4 slot is ability usage. Honestly, just sometimes there's iffy here and there things, but overall, the best thing you had going for you, we had some pretty solid jumps, and then some jumps where we just make sure you're not leaping into walls and whatnot, and sometimes you plop down bubble in certain situations, but overall, there's no like systematic, you keep doing this wrong all the time with your abilities, right? So that's pretty much it. Monkey doesn't have mechanics. Do you... Oh, snap. We actually have, like, 8 minutes left here. So, do you want to, like, go over something else with the rest of the time we have? And then, also, if you... I guess, let's do questions. And then, after questions, maybe we can go over, like, a couple more minutes of something. Do you got any questions about anything we've talked about?
Just on, like, when you pop his ultimate, the juggling part, like you hit him and then you short jump and you can hit him again, but like after you hit him that second time, your jump still has like a second left to go on it. But, like,
Yeah.
I've seen some people do it and it's just like bam bam, like they're just on them constantly, but it seems like I have to wait a second for my jump to come back. So I don't know if there's like a mechanic in the juggling type deal that I'm not doing, or if there's like something that I'm missing where I could be maximizing that.
If you are, I'm not aware of it. If there is some tech for like juggling is probably to be honest, one of my weaker areas when it comes to monkey gameplay of like how the mechanics of how to do so. But or like giving tips out for that. But in any case, it's like a lot of times you're right. The big objective when you're juggling is pinning them into walls. That way we can keep them there, and then we can just do this where we just leap in after them, do a bunch of damage, and then you can kill people like really fast. And then I think. I'm trying to think about it. honestly, if at most your cooldown is 2 seconds, right? While you're traveling to them, right, with your short jump or whatever, that's taking you like a second, and then by the time you hit them, honestly, there's 1 second max that you're wasting in between your hits. So honestly, I don't think it's too big of a deal. You're never really going to be wasting too much time with it. But then just make sure that the objective is to pin them. If you're going for the damage, if you're going for boops, then you don't have to. But if you're going for damage and trying to kill somebody, make the objective to pin them into a wall. That way they can't escape, and you can get in as much damage as possible in on them. All right? Does that kind of make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right. Any other questions?
Mm, like when you were in gold, or platinum or wherever, everybody was in that rank at some point. But
Mm.
was there like a thing that you were like, oh, like that's what it is, and then you just started climbing, or is it just like you just progressively over time got better and just figured stuff out, or was it just like one thing that you just kind of clicked and you were like, oh, okay.
Well, as there's a lot of things like that. I'd probably say it's a mix between the two. I wouldn't say that like there's ever going to be one single thing that like there's not never going to be an instance in
Like a
anybody's
aha
gameplay.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, there's never going to be an instance in someone's gameplay where they go, "Oh snap, I'm positioning wrong," and then all of a sudden they go from gold to top 500. Right?
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
Right.
Where where it's that dramatic of a change. Though there were those instances where like in my gameplay where I'd be like, oh snap, I get that now, right? Where like I finally understood how something worked. Maybe it was a mechanic, maybe it was like something I was doing wrong, and then yes, that would lead to some improvement and maybe a little bit of a climb. But most of the time it's just slow improvement, and then as through the improvement process you do have like plateaus in your gameplay where you'll climb, and then maybe you'll dip for a little bit, and then you'll just kind of plateau where you'll just kind of stay at the same level, and then finally you'll reach that next oh snap, that's how this works, and then you'll climb again, and then you'll reach a plateau, and then you'll learn that next thing. So that's just kind of how it works. I wouldn't say it's one thing that just all of a sudden shoots you up. It's more so it's a bunch of tiny things that will gradually get you up.
Yeah. On the DPS, like, 'cause I do play it sometimes, is I feel like Reaper's like a pretty easy carry in a lot of games. Is he used a lot, like in high ranked games?
He's definitely, like I said, at the moment he definitely wasn't. Sorry, let me figure out how to phrase this. He definitely wasn't until he got the rework. And then once he got then the rework, but his gun rework, right, where he shoots further away. That's where he became a lot more applicable, and people played him a lot more often. After that change, yes, you do see him at higher levels of play. And like I said, most of the DPS and characters at the moment are applicable in their own situations. Though I'd say Reaper definitely is going to be one of the characters, like Reinhardt, who is best in brawl maps and brawl comps, right?
Who do you get the most, like, when somebody wants a list, and like who do you get the most requests to do, like, what character, like, do people want to learn the most?
Yeah, I get Ana the most, which
Really? I
is
thought it would be like Genji or something.
nope. Which could possibly be. I can think. I have a few theories on that. Which like Ana, just as an example of how often I get it. Like I on YouTube I like upload a lot of recordings. I don't upload all of them, and I also just started uploading them like within this year instead of like all of while I've coached. But I have like probably 2 to 3 times the amount of people I've done coaching with on Ana than most other characters. So like Winston, for example, like I don't have a ton of people who I have at least uploaded videos with on YouTube of solo monkey coaching, and whereas Ana I have like 23 just alone on Ana that I've done just this person wants just Ana. So theories on that would be like I do have Ana as my number, like on my Fiverr. My first picture on Fiverr is my peak SR, which was achieved on Ana. So I would imagine that might have a big impact because people go, oh, this guy plays Ana, I'm gonna go to this guy to learn my Ana, right?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
on top of that, even though technically I haven't played Ana regularly in like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So besides that,
Pardon me.
I could also see it as like just because I coach the most Ana, I also have 23 videos up on, or I think it's even more than that. But in any case, I have all those videos up on Ana, which could be generating a little bit more advertisement as well, which could lead to some more people coming. Or on top of that, I would also imagine that just Ana is a pretty hard character, and people just want to learn, and popular character at the same time. She's popular and difficult, so that means that people want to learn how to play her. Whereas like a character like Brig might not get as many people wanting her because she's not as popular and she's not as difficult as Ana, right? So, any final questions, or is that it?
Appear to have.
What was your first? Wasn't on your first like commentated video that you uploaded?
The first commentator video, one of the first. I don't think it was the first, but I definitely around you is when I started doing them, because I think I also that was when at the very beginning when I just did video, like I had my cam on, and then I realized, oh
Yeah.
snap, I don't want to have my cam on because I have to act like super professional the entire time. I can't like put
No, yeah, because you didn't have. I remember the first one we did. Like you didn't do like like the review and all this stuff at the end. Like you kind of progressed it a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, that's all I have, man. Till next time.
Yeah, till next time, man. So let me stop the recording.